326 images.
Joshua David Stapleton had material depicting a prepubescent female, is bound to a swing set.
They then asked if it bothered him to see these images and to see these kids in the states that they were in these images. And he said, no, people are people, bodies are bodies.
Do we think she knew? How did she not know? Absolutely, I knew.
Do you think they know that I'm crazy? Actually, can you do this and I'll screenshot it?
You mean to tell me that you knew?
You fucking knew!
He was a PDF file all along and still chose to marry him? Y'all, we need to talk about the most vile couple on TikTok right now that's going viral for all the wrong reasons. And not even for content they're posting themselves necessarily, but actually it's for their jail video calls that are coming out, and it has left us all shook and speechless.
But yeah, he's gonna be in there with rapists, but I think he's safe.
I don't give a shit if you're a sex offender for the next 75 years. I just want you out.
Yes, because Josh Stapleton from the Gulf Coast Stapletons has been criminally charged and is serving time for distributing CP, while his wife is choosing to stick beside him as she mocks her audience and even goes as far as threatens anyone who talks about this very public situation.
What you're not allowed to do is post anything that is a false statement. But if I continue to see it, naturally, I'm going to have to take legal action.
This has been making TikToks about you. Now she's making it about my dad. Yeah, he's a murderer, so don't you think you should probably keep your mouth shut?
Another guard asked me about being a TikTok famous person in here.
But I'm getting a little too ahead of myself. Let me introduce you to this disgusting couple that run a TikTok account called the Gulf Coast Stapletons. Brittani and Josh Stapleton grew their account by sharing themselves going on a boat ? I honestly don't know and could care less about explaining to you guys how they gained their following, because although I know Brittani would love me to make this video about how she got her quote-unquote fame, I'm gonna keep this about the children that her disgusting husband pled guilty and is serving time for. I'm sure we could all agree that there's nothing worse than a sick creep who likes little children. But what's equally as awful is an accomplice who knows these deeds and chooses to stick beside that said creep and defend him online.
Now this brings me to the first question I continuously keep seeing. Maybe she didn't know, or did she know? Do we think she knew? How did she not know? Absolutely, I knew. He has been fully transparent and honest with me. Therefore, I know everything. I have been to court. I know everything.
You see, Brittani Stapleton is a different type of disturbed individual, because most smart women who find this kind of information out would immediately cut ties to a predator like that. But no, not Brittani, because I believe she too is quite evil, just like her husband.
Do you think they know that I'm crazy?
I just can't wait to get out and then we just live a life and everybody's jealous again.
I believe any woman who defends a man's crimes against children is just as bad and is sick and twisted themselves. She says in her own words that she knew this man had these pending charges on him and chose to reach out to him to reconnect with him and ended up marrying him. What does that tell you?
Josh and I were friends way before we ever started dating. So when the charges occurred, we were friends. You better believe I hit him up, because as soon as I saw it, I have a really good judge of character, and I knew something was up. I knew that was not Josh. We had already been on several trips together beforehand. I'd spent pretty close time with this guy, and I was like, something's wrong here. Josh was absolutely upfront with me about everything in the charges. There were no secrets. So that leads me to the next point. I continuously see things that say he lied to her and told her that his ex-wife set him up. Well, let's cover a couple things. One, I'm Josh's first wife. He has never been married before.
But this woman, even after her husband pled guilty and is charged and is facing time, she continues to make these videos about how she's putting on her ring every day. She just can't wait for her husband to come back.
'Cause you're the fire of Carolina and Oklahoma too. Sick.
It's Sunday, so let's do some gluten-free meal prep for the week. I'm going to show you what I'll be eating for lunch and for dinner all week.
While her husband is doing time for distributing, uploading, downloading child content.
This all started when an investigation in 2020 showed that 326 images, horrific images that I can't even describe in detail on this app, had been uploaded from this man's laptop. Now, some reports say downloaded. These legal documents say uploaded, okay? Once police started interviewing Josh Stapleton, he admitted, yeah, I viewed those images. He even admitted that he may have, pleased himself to those images. They searched his phone during this interview, during this investigation, and they didn't find anything. And he said, yeah, it's all been on my laptop in my office. And they said, well, how did you access all of this? He said, I'm not really sure. I was just clicking around on the interweb and I wound up there. Highly unlikely. They asked if he knew how old the youngest person in these photos looked, and he said, I'm not sure. I don't have children, so I can't really judge that. They then asked if it bothered him to see these images and to see these kids in the states that they were in these images. And he said, no, people are people, bodies are bodies, and we are all the same. Under the jail.
What kind of child content, may you ask? Here's some of the information we found in the court records.
All of this material, this child abuse material, was found on his computer. It was his work computer. He was an insurance agent, and this was on there. Apparently, it was a multi-agency sting operation. It's pretty clear what happened, right? Like, it was on his computer. I also saw some other Neanderthal comment that it was a teenager, maybe a 17-year-old, who had produced these photos themselves and that he didn't know that they were underage. So again, when I read the indictment, I took special note of the fact that every single charge was related to a prepubescent child. If you don't know what prepubescent means, that means a child that has not yet reached puberty. These charges were also filed in the state of Georgia. Georgia defines a prepubescent child as 12 or younger. It involved them being tied to chairs or playground equipment. There was also penetration with body parts as well as inanimate objects. So while all child sex abuse material is violent, don't misunderstand what I'm saying, this was especially violent. This was very much a violent fantasy played out.
Knowing that information moving forward, as if Brittani Stapleton's actions didn't already piss you off. Get this, she pleads with everyone that we should consider their mental health when we talk about them.
Let's talk about mental health. It is so fun to get views off these videos. It is not the best thing in the world to profit off someone else's worst moment. It would be really difficult to sleep at night if you were the cause for someone not to be on this earth.
But never once considered the damage to those children's mental health that her husband gladly participated in. The other weird, twisted thing about this whole thing is how Brittani has claimed so many times that she does not want children. She never wanted children.
But last night I woke up because I had a dream that I was pregnant. I popped right up out of that bed and took not one but two birth controls because I was like, we ain't doing this. And I say all that to add in that I'm like 31 and married, but still. Brittani doesn't want children because she knows that Josh is a child predator. If you know me, or if you've ever known me at any period of my life, you will know that since age 12, I have never wanted children. Not interested in having children. Never have been.
However, she proceeds to join mom's Facebook groups. For what reason?
This woman is not a mom. She's not a stepmom. She says in this video she never wanted children, but she would join mom groups over on those other social media apps. And those groups require you to answer questions like, are you a mom or a stepmom? She said, yep. That was a lie. Why are you falsely getting into groups where mothers are talking about and posting pictures about their children when you're married to that man and standing by that man?
Now that her husband is behind bars and she just continues to post her daily vlogs, many have decided to dove into the court records and have found some disturbing details about this case.
Absolutely allowed to post anything that is public record, such as mugshots, indictments, court documents.
I thought I would just do my due diligence and read directly from the court documents. This is some of the most grotesque things I have ever read. Joshua David Stapleton did possess material depicting of a prepubescent female sitting unclothed in a chair with her body bound. Did possess material depicting a prepubescent female standing unclothed in a doorway while blindfolded and bound by her wrist and ankle. Possessed material depicting a prepubescent female laying unclothed on her back with her legs bound around her thighs and her arms above her head. Had material depicting two unclothed prepubescent persons where one person was doing things to the other, while an adult male's nether regions was in the other, had material depicting two unclothed prepubescent females, where one is bound to a swing set and also bound by her mouth, and the other is sitting on a seesaw bound to its handle. Joshua David Stapleton had material depicting an adult doing things to a prepubescent female. Joshua David Stapleton possessed material depicting a prepubescent person on their knees in front of an adult male. Stapleton possessed material depicting a prepubescent female laying unclothed and being held in a position. And I can't finish that one. He was sentenced to 20 years. He'll only have to serve 5, and he'll be credited for 2 days that he's already served. But when he gets out, he will have these conditions for his probation. He cannot have any contact with minors. He cannot reside with a minor. He cannot have any relationships with individuals responsible for the care or custody of minors under the age of 18.
Do people with children or friends with children know about the charges? Absolutely. A, it's been all over the internet. If you didn't know, you just didn't know. But B, we have never in our lives been at someone's house around someone's children and not let them know ahead of time, because we don't want anything to ever look sketchy. So we've always been absolutely upfront with everyone. And guess what? A lot of these people have our backs because they have personally witnessed Josh around their children and know that there's no issue.
I have been reached out to by 2 of Brittany's former friends. Basically told them a whole different story that involved Brittany's dad and that Josh was innocent and that nothing would ever come from it. Yes, they did tell the friends. The friends also said that had they known that there was more to this, they would have never, ever allowed them to be around their children or them.
On top of that, many were able to request through the Freedom of Information Act their video recordings and phone calls.
Hi, baby.
I don't give a shit if you're a sex offender for the next 75 years. I just want you out.
My email's clean. You know, I am about that.
All right, listen, I done deleted all your bullshit. You got like some email from some, I don't even know, but don't you worry, I got you good.
Just not to stop me.
Don't worry, I am. I hate you so much. I cleared all your search history every single time. I haven't deleted your text messages, I'll leave those, but if it's spam text messages, I've deleted it. I got you, baby. He had this whole thing about how he's able to get the sex offender sword removed, like the sex offender registration removed. There's a lot of stipulations with it, but that's the next step. Getting you out of there is my first step. We'll worry about that shit later.
You need to figure out why they placed me in, I'm top threat in here.
What?
Yeah, I'm in the worst storm.
He said, well, so they're not going to put him in there with rapists and other people. I said, well, those are technically the same type of charges he had. He said, well, Josh isn't a rapist. I said, that's not what I said. But yeah, he's going to be in there with rapists, but I think he's safe. It's going to be tough being the prettiest person in prison, baby.
I bet you were the talk of that jail.
Probably.
Watch our phone calls get leaked.
Yeah, I'm sure. They're transcribing our phone calls for sure.
Oh, yeah, they're having a field day with that shit.
This woman is not only unhinged, but she may be a full-on accomplice and is clearly tampering with evidence. Why are they not looking into her as well? Because I think Josh Stapleton knows that we're onto them and that there may be so much more to uncover.
I'm a former Child Protective Services investigator. At another time in my career, I was a Child Protective Services conservatorship caseworker. I've handled hundreds of child SA cases. And in some of the cases that I've seen, not only was the wife or girlfriend a participant, but she was also an enabler. And in these cases, the men will be charged, but not the wife or the girlfriend, because we didn't have enough evidence on. But after having the displeasure of getting to know these kind of people, interviewing them, doing an investigation on them, it was often very easy to tell that the wife or girlfriend was in on it. She was aware that her husband was a PDF file who is attracted to children. And either A, she did nothing about it, or B, she was an enabler. We just didn't have enough evidence to prove it, so she wouldn't get charged. In the Stapleton case, you can hear Brittany admit to knowing a lot of the things that Mr. Stapleton was into. You can also hear her say things like, we don't have any children of our own, phone, but I will join mom groups on Facebook and befriend other women who have children, and they will bring the children around us. And when I heard her admit to that, my spidey senses activated, and I instantly knew what was going on. Brittany knew that if her husband was to be locked in a room with her and a child, and he only had one choice, he would choose a child. I'm gonna speak from experience here. Sometimes the most evil person in the room isn't always the one being charged. Sometimes it's the woman who's going out of her way to make him look innocent. And while everyone's distracted looking at the monster, they often miss the one holding the leash. And I'm gonna end with this. It's very easy to spot a predator, but it is harder to spot the one who dressed him up for church and made him look like a good man in the eyes of society so that he would have access to children.
There is a brilliant TikToker that has covered this story through and through, but now come to find out that her life has been threatened by the one and only Brittani Stapleton.
This bitch is literally out here making TikToks about my dad now. Like, okay. This bitch has been making TikToks about you, now she's making it about my dad. She's like, and when I thought I was done with the Gulf Coast Stapleton, her dad's a murderer. She's a life girl. Quit profiting off me. You think I care?
Wow.
I want to be like, yeah, he's a murderer, so don't you think you should probably keep your mouth shut? You got people on the outside, baby. Josh don't. Josh ain't got people on the outside like Ricky got on the outside. You don't want to go there. Because the second I send this shit to Ricky, you could end up in trouble. I might go say that. I might go say, hey, I'm not going to send this to Ricky, but let him get word of it.
She brags to her husband during these video calls how she could basically, well, just listen.
I just told the call, I said, yeah, Josh ain't got people on the outside, but Ricky did. She might want to look out because Ricky ain't going to send nobody to kill her, but she might be learning about this thing now, too. Yeah, like, you actually think that I should send her full name to Ricky and be like, hey, you think you can figure this one out? You got people on the outside, handle it.
Josh clearly doesn't want her to keep talking about his trial because I think he's catching on that their videos may be recorded.
He's trying to tell her that her big mouth in her TikTok account is causing him a lot of problems. And it's going to get even worse in state.
Everybody in the knows about this shit now. I had another guard ask me about being a TikTok famous person in here.
What do you think?
No, it's like, you one of those, like, State Farm agents, you're a TikTok famous one in here?
They get a notification that the call is being recorded, and I guess she was too dumb to realize that anyone can request those calls and get the audio, the transcripts. She's calling to talk to her felon husband, and she's making criminal threats on a recorded jailhouse phone call.
Which, how dumb are you to not know that already? But to admit on a recording that you are wiping his history, clearing out his messages.
All right, listen, I done deleted all your bullshit. You got like some email from some, I don't even know, but don't you worry, I got you good.
How are you not being looked into right now? That's everyone's question and frustration, because as these videos from the jail calls continue to surface, we are in shock that the authorities haven't dug into this case deeper, specifically into Brittani Stapleton. The more I dig into this, the more sick to my stomach it leaves me. But you know what? I'm sure our old friend Bubba behind bars is taking good care of Josh while he's in there as these details start coming out to his cellmates.
It can be tough being the prettiest person in prison, baby.
And as more surfaces, I'll be sure to give you guys updates. But that's gonna do it for me for this video. I will see you in my next one. Peace.